Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Film Room Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 16. I'm your host, Joe Baress, joined by my co-host, Joby Fawcett. Joby, how we doing?
I'm doing quite well, Joe. How are you doing after what was a very well-deserved break?
Hey, I'm doing great. I had a great week, as you saw.
I did.
Yeah.
So I follow you on social media, as I encourage many others to do as well.
Yeah, so, a few more concerts, Joby, obviously.
Yeah, you're still doing the full circuit. I get it.
That's right. Got to meet Jackie Earle Haley and Vincent D'Onofrio, Juliette Lewis, at as you mentioned, a Monster Mania con. So
Joe, I got to tell you,
yeah,
it's not often I say this to many people, but I was very jealous because when I saw the photos of you with the celebrities, Vincent D'Onofrio,
yeah,
many years ago when he had the starring role in Law and Order: Criminal Intent.
sure.
I was just enamored with that show, and he was really one of my favorite characters. And then he moved on to the Marvel Universe, and of course, for those who may not be too familiar, Julia Lewis, I believe she is also very famous for her appearance in Christmas Vacation.
That's right.
Which, in fact, Joe, was on a 24-hour loop over the weekend.
I was going to say, I think I watched it.
So I was able to catch up on some of my favorite holiday movies.
Nice. Oh, that's right. You texted me a funny thing. You said, don't you think he needs the bonus to repair his home?
Joe, I feel that is something that you and I could get into at some later date when we discuss some of these holiday classics, because my daughter Megan was home for Thanksgiving from New York, and we watched the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special.
Oh, awesome. Yep.
And my daughter is very upset with the character of Peppermint Patty and the ungrateful approach she had to Charlie Brown,
right,
having invited herself, Marcy, and Franklin over to Thanksgiving dinner, and then was disappointed in the toast, popcorn, and pretzel stick buffet.
I love this.
So we watched that, and we were very upset with it. Now, of course, there's always some sort of a moral wrap-up of all the Peanuts episodes, but
of course,
I could see why sometimes some of the censors or the people at the network got a little. Peppermint Patty was a little bit of a brute.
Yeah, right?
He was kind of barking orders.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's how we spent the holiday. I enjoyed having Megan home. We don't get a chance to see her that much because she moved to New York City, so we did catch some movies, and we'll talk later about some of them.
I love it. We'll have to have her on too. She's got some great points.
Joe, she's a big time film critic.
Nice.
Much like yourself and Take Two.
I love it.
And she I guess she has the app or whatever, and she watches a lot of movies, and she's not quite as in depth with her reviews as, let's say, someone of your ilk or the late Roger Ebert.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
She's more of a one phrase reviewer, whether she likes it or not. But she was hot about the Thanksgiving special from Charlie Brown. So.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, hey, I'm happy you had a great Thanksgiving. I had a great Thanksgiving as well.
I'm glad that you did too, Joe. And I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday evening, Megan and I were watching The Grinch, the Ron Howard version.
Oh, yeah.
When I received a text message alerting me to some sort of a crazy night in high school basketball. And I just sometimes I just blurt stuff out in the living room.
Yes.
And I said, holy smokes. I said, Megan, somebody scored 53 points in a half of basketball.
Yeah.
And now forgive my daughter, but she has no idea what that means. He said, oh, Dad, is that good? I said, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's a perfect transition. We are actually right now joined by, obviously, our Times-Tribune Athlete of the Week, Nico Antoniacci of Riverside Basketball. Nico, how we doing, man?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Good. I know here's what Nico did in a 97-37 victory over Wyoming Valley West.
If you've been living in a bubble.
Exactly. In case you don't know, scored 53 points in a half in I believe 14 minutes. He had 10 threes, 5 for 5 from the free throw line, 19 to 24 from the field. He beat the school record of Jerry Kinsel on January 17th, 2012, which he set in an overtime loss to Holy Cross. I think I was at that game. I was at that game as a fan.
I'm sure you were, Joe. I was there also on
and he just kept making shots. And that was through overtime. So I'm sure you've been through it many times already, Nico, but you scored more points in a half than I scored in my entire varsity basketball career. You do incredible things every time you kind of step on the basketball court, obviously. But what was it like scoring 53 points in a half?
Yeah, it was like an unbelievable feeling. I didn't really know how much I had. My teammates just kept passing me balls to keep shooting. And all week at practice, coach kept telling me he wanted us to come out and make a statement. And that's what we did.
Nico, so look, the statistics are mind-boggling, right? 19 field goals in 14 minutes of action. every time you get possession of the ball, you're able to launch up a shot in less than a minute. So when you're a scorer like you are, okay, and you kind of get that sense that everything's going down, kind of tell me what that's like certainly in the first game of the year. It had to be almost overwhelming and actually overpowering to keep it going and feeding off the momentum. And I'm sure the energy in the gym was electric.
Yeah, the energy in the gym was definitely electric. You kind of just get in that mode and just keep hitting shot after shot. We had a shoot around earlier that day before the game, and my shot felt really good. And all the shots that I worked on all off season just kept falling in the game for me. So it was nothing new.
Yeah, you mentioned you wanted to make a statement. Obviously, last year your season ended in the state quarters with a loss to West Catholic, who ended up winning the state title. What's the statement you were trying to make, and is that the loss in state's kind of a motivating factor for you?
Yeah, I was itching for the first game to start ever since we lost West Catholic, and coach was telling us, even though we lost a bunch of seniors, let everyone know in the area that Riverside basketball has not changed, and we're still going to be the same team, if not better, from last year.
Nico, so listen, for people, as I said, the high school sports world knows plenty about your reputation and your resume that you've really developed since you were a very young player in the Riverside system and then into your AAU career. After your first varsity season last year, when you were able to lead Riverside to really an incredible run, a District 2 championship, and the lessons that you learned, tell me what that was like for you to play in a varsity setting as opposed to what you were more familiar with and more comfortable with in that summer league against really high-level talent.
Yeah, I know. I feel like last year really challenged me because in this area, a lot of games are packed out and you get thrown into hostile environments at a young age. And playing AAU, you're playing against really good, stronger kids. And when you come back here to play in the 5-7-0, it's just a lot easier because they're not really used to seeing that type of size that you play in AAU.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about your focuses in the off season in the summer league for improving heading into your sophomore season.
Yeah, I was really kind of keying on my strength. I never liked lifting weights growing up. For like a month, I didn't want to lift. My parents had to force me to do it, and I had to fall in love with the weight room. And I was in lifting all summer, and working on my shot as well.
Nico, don't be worried about Joe Baress doesn't like lifting weights.
No, I was just about to say same thing.
So it's not uncommon but listen, you knew based upon what you saw last year in the state playoffs that you needed to get stronger. But what are some of the other things you worked on? You have such a great outside shot, but I was always impressed with your ability to get to the basket. Kind of elaborate on what you kind of focused in on that you feel you need to continue to improve on. You're only a sophomore, for crying out loud.
Yeah, definitely like going to the basket last year, when you're a freshman, you kind of get like punked around a little bit by the older like senior classmen. And, I wanted to get a stronger lower body so I can stay on my path to the basket and not get pushed out the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Nico, obviously, you're only a sophomore, but after your freshman season, statistically, you obviously got comparisons to Gerry McNamara, and now everybody's eyes are definitely on you now. What is it kind of like having comparisons to someone like Gerry McNamara? How do you kind of handle being compared to someone who was like a god when he played here?
Yeah, it's definitely an honor to be compared to him, but also at the same time, I don't really try to pay attention to all the outside noise and stuff. There's always me people critiquing me, and my dad always told me like, why take criticism for someone who you never asked for advice? So there's always me people saying like, oh, I'll never be as good and all that. But I'm not trying to be the next Gerry McNamara. I'm trying to be the first Nico Antoniacci, and that's just always how my mindset was growing up.
Well, and that's a good mindset to have because, I mean, it's one of the unfortunate circumstances of having such a talented start to your career where you're, reaching these incredible. I even have to pause sometimes, and I wrote it today about the comparisons because I heard about it all weekend with the Gerry's performance in the state playoffs. And you're right, this is about what you can control as a young basketball player. So you mentioned what you achieved last year and how that's driving you and motivating you. It's only game one. You have other challenges ahead. How much are you looking forward to enjoying your sophomore season, even though you're so determined to kind of get further along in the playoffs and balance out all this college recruiting you're going to have to deal with?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a busy winter. I'm always just kind of focus and have fun. The college coaches, when they call me, they just say like, focus on the season, have fun, enjoy it, because that's what's most important. But also, my mindset, I'm always just trying to win. So I want to go get a league championship, district championship, and ultimately goal, a state championship.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, Joby mentioned the offers. Is there one that kind of, is there one that blew you away in the beginning? Like wow, this is, I could be a big time Division I player.
Yeah, definitely like after last season and seeing all the good success I had, I definitely thought I could be like a high major Division I basketball player. And definitely like when the Penn State offer came in, I was really like shocked, but also not satisfied because I know how much time I put into the game and how hard I work.
So this has been quite a journey for you, Nico. As I mentioned, you got brought to a lot of people's attention at a very young age. You have some great teammates that you've kind of built a very close camaraderie with. And I know you and Braden Rose are very close. Kind of tell everybody about that 1-2 combination you two have developed throughout your careers growing up, only 1 year apart in school.
Yeah, I've been playing with Braden since like really the day I was born. Like he's my guy. Growing up, we'd always have these sleepovers at each other's houses, and he still takes me to practice every day. Some days he takes me to school, so he's my brother. So it's definitely great having him around all the time.
Absolutely. Nico, how did you get started in basketball? And, at what point did it kind of click for you that you're pretty darn good?
So growing up, my parents would always be at work, and my grandfather would always babysit me, and he'd set up like the basketball hoops in the living room, and I'd be like a young kid just shoot on the hoops all the time. I was playing all the sports, baseball and all that. So, but once I got to like middle school, I always had a really good outside shot and a good skill set. But I started growing a lot more rapidly and getting stronger going into like 8th to 9th grade. And that's definitely when I thought I could be really good. And people were talking about how good success I could have as a freshman. And to achieve that already was definitely something I'll never forget.
So, Nico, let me ask you this. It's got to be at times, you know, very difficult for you to kind of compartmentalize everything in your life. Okay, you're a sophomore, you're attending school, you're playing basketball. Kind of tell people how you do all this, how you balance it all, and yet still have such a great relationship with your friends and maintain some semblance of social interactions outside of basketball.
Yeah. So usually like a day in the life, I just wake up, if we have practice, go to practice after school, then get the schoolwork done, and maybe hang out with my friends after that. While like on a game day, I'll go to the game and just hang out with my friends after. But I gotta make sure I'm working hard still, so my mom and dad will make sure I'm getting my shots up and lifting weights and all that.
Absolutely. Is there anything that, outside of basketball, what do you like to do? What do you do when you have free time?
I listen to a lot of music. I like to listen to a lot of music, play video games and all that.
Yeah, what's your favorite video game, Nico?
Madden. I like Madden 26 a lot.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Times haven't changed. I liked Madden when I was. I played Madden constantly.
That's
Maybe
game franchise mode.
absolutely, absolutely. I think if I stopped playing Madden, I probably would have been better at basketball. But anyway, so I see that reading your Athlete of the Week interview, you're a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. What do you think? What do you think of the team right now?
Oh, there was a really rough game, yesterday. Me and my dad were screaming at the TV like we couldn't believe it. I feel like we got to draft a franchise quarterback and just build around him. And we need to get some receivers too. We have really no weapons right now.
That's true. Yeah. You trade Pickens, and he's great in Dallas. And Rodgers started off the year great. I'm a Packers fan, so I experienced the best of Rodgers. But yeah, he started off the year great. Now he's kind of looks old, and it was funny. I had to laugh when I went to the sideline, and he just looked like I saw this meme of he looked like he tried to invade Kevin McAllister's home at Home Alone. What do you think of Rodgers this season?
I feel like he's doing what he can. He's a little banged up right now. He's getting old, so I'm happy he's doing the best he can.
Nico, how was it? Now, you're a basketball guy, but I know you follow your football team at Riverside there, and your buddy Tavion Branch, he's really involved in a whirlwind of both high school and the college recruiting process. How has that been at Riverside, knowing the great success you guys had last year in the state tournament in basketball, and then it carried over the media frenzy into the football season with him? That's a big guy walking the hallways.
Yeah, he's definitely, you can spot him out from all the way down the hall. Me and him have been friends growing up playing basketball. We used to play in like little basketball rec leagues growing up with each other at Riverside. We have a good relationship with each other, and we always try to talk or give each other advice if we need any help about like the recruiting process.
Absolutely. I also saw, Nico, I go to the penalty box quite often, actually. And you said your favorite food is penalty box wings. What flavor you go for?
Mild boneless.
Oh, excellent. That's a good standard. Well, hey, if I ever see you out, wings are on me, man. I'll buy you some wings.
All right, that sounds good.
Nico, before you accept that, make sure it clears all the NIL bylaws. Okay? We don't want to get you in any trouble around here.
That's what some people were saying.
I think we're good now, Joby. I think we're good now. Maybe a few years ago.
Okay. Everything's on the table now, right?
That's right. Joby, you got anything else for Nico?
No, Nico, listen, I was not joking when I said when I received the text message from my good friend Jared Bonda that you had scored that many points. Not that I'm shocked that you scored that many points, but you did that in a half of basketball. But I just want to thank you for getting back to me that night. I was here with my family, and I reached out to you, and you got right back to me so we could talk a little bit about, and you've always been very open to that. And listen, you have a heck of a career ahead of you. Keep plugging along. I can tell by your answers that you are really kind of focused in, and we look forward to what's going to be a great season for you.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Thanks so much, Nico. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. That was our Times-Tribune Athlete of the Week, Nico Antoniacci of Riverside Basketball. Joby, the pick didn't get much easier than that this week.
Well, Joe, here's the thing. I mean, we're going to see, we just got done with what was a terrific high school football season where we saw some things where, again, I walked away saying I never thought I would see something like this. And I'm speaking specifically about what Isaac Ryan did in games in the league. Okay. I think we're in for something similar here with Nico Antoniacci, where, again, his reputation precedes him. He's an extremely talented basketball player. Okay.
Yeah.
Any level. I mean, he could probably play collegiately right now. No, he would need to get a lot stronger. He understands that. He mentioned that to us, right?
Right.
But when you hear the number, Joe, forget about the 53. That's a big enough number. He played 14 minutes and made 19 field goals.
Right.
And kudos to Coach Josh Aniska, who's in a tough spot himself in that situation. Does he leave him in?
Right.
Will he score 75 points?
Right.
Will he score 100?
Right.
You don't know. Do you do that to your opponent?
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I think I think Josh Haniska did the right thing. You know,
Yep.
in that situation, it's kind of a hard call on his part.
Yeah.
When a kid is doing something that's generationally probably never going to happen again.
Right.
And it's just an impressive performance. And yeah, right. Listen, the high school basketball season has just started. We're gonna have a great season, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But you can't ask for a better individual performance than that.
No, exactly. And, I had mentioned that, and you were there as well, but, Jerry Kinsel scoring 52 points in an overtime loss to Holy Cross, that was an incredible performance. I remember that, and I was obviously rooting against him as a Holy Cross alum, and he just they couldn't stop him. I mean, he was just hitting everything, and that's 52 points in overtime in an overtime game. I've seen some people comment, well, it's just Wyoming Valley West. 53 points is 53 points.
Joe, the ball has
15 minutes. Ball's going in the basket. It's not like, and he hit 10 threes. I mean, 19 for 24 from the field. That is ultimate efficiency. I mean, that is so incredible. And
Joe, and we did kind of talk a little bit about this, and I was very happy with the way Nico Antoniacci responded, because that's going to be an added pressure cooker for this young man throughout his remaining part of his high school career. You can't help but look at the numbers that he put up and not think back to that Gerry McNamara performance, albeit on a much bigger stage.
Right.
I get that.
Right.
But anytime you see somebody do what Nico did in a high school basketball game, that's what makes the legend of Gerry McNamara so great, is you're going to go back to the comparison. Hey, I can remember sitting at March Hall when Gerry had that 41 points in the first half. If you remember correctly, Joe, I believe you were there with your Bishop Hannah and Sarah Fanelli as a recruit. So he made a 3-pointer from almost midcourt to end the half.
Yeah.
It was just, and I remember saying to people in the stands that day, we are going to walk out of this gymnasium. They're going to win this game because he's going to will this team to victory.
Right. And
we are always going to remember where we were when we saw this performance. With a seat, I was right behind the bench.
Right.
And again, as soon as I hear the numbers that Nico put up on Friday, immediately my brain goes back to what was the greatest performance I have ever seen. Now that, again, Gerry McNamara's performance will ultimately probably be the greatest thing I've seen in my career when I walk away very soon. But then I thought, you know what? I can remember when Gerry did it and people were talking about the Bob Stevenson performance in the state championship game back in 77. So I went back and looked it up, and then the similarities are just incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Nico's going to receive a lot of the inevitable comparisons between him and those two legendary basketball players. But he's a strong kid, great family, very, very great support system there within the Riverside basketball and community. So it is what it's going to be now moving forward. But he certainly has set the bar very high. He was our Times-Tribune Player of the Year, first time I ever named a boy freshman as the Player of the Year in my 25 years. So
right, and he, it's the first game of his sophomore season. We're going to get so many more just incredible performances, and talking to him the couple times that I have on this podcast, and you know him much better than me. He seems to be so level-headed and absolutely ready for any sort of pressure or anything. He just seems so level-headed.
Yeah, again, he comes from a great family there. So, and I think he's also always very open to advice from people. Look, he's gonna be the most highly recruited basketball recruit we've had here in this area since year. Okay,
absolutely.
Certainly at the highest level. Okay,
right.
So he's got a lot that he's going to have to deal with. He mentioned already. We kind of joked a little bit about the NIL, but that's a big part of it.
Right.
this young man's going to have his future as long as he keeps working, keeps improving, well taken care of. So, and I know he's got a very good support system there that's going to make sure, he keeps everything in order. But I will say this: what a great kid! I've reached out to Coach Josh Aniska at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
Hey, can you have Nico give me a call? And the kid, he gets right back to me. So he's a very mature young man, and he is as talented a basketball player as I've seen in a very long time.
Absolutely. So it should be an exciting season, not only for him, but obviously for the Lackawanna League. And
Joe, as we dial it right back up.
We dial it right back up. That's it. We are in it. We are in it, my friend.
Joe, you got a chance to take a breather, nice vacation in Palm Springs there for a week. Some of the other members of our staff had to get right back into the grind.
Exactly. Exactly. I appreciate you guys, carrying the department while I was gone.
Joe, I love the PIAA calendar. It's just it's kind of always fallen this way because of the nonsensical 16 weeks it takes to crown a state champion in football.
Yeah. Yes.
But we had our three teams lose.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, and then you were gone, so we didn't have a podcast. But I kind of wrote this column.
Yeah.
With the losses of the three teams in the PIAA playoffs, Lackawanna Trail to Belmont Charter, Scranton Prep to Northwestern, Lehigh, and North Pocono to Cardinal O'Hara. I kind of wrote a column just wrapping up the fall sports season on Thanksgiving Day and just how remarkable this fall sports season was.
Yeah.
And what our athletes and teams were able to achieve. And then the calendar flips. We have basketball.
All right. It's basketball season. It's winter sports season. Exactly. No, it's crazy. Joby, if you don't mind, could we turn the clocks back a little bit before we move forward?
Joe, I'd like to turn the clocks back a lot.
That's true. That's true.
Like in my life in particular. But that being said, you can do that if you'd like, Joe. I have vague recollections of what happened, even though I'm enjoying Lafayette Lehigh football game.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey, did you have a good time?
Well, I wasn't happy with the final.
That's true. That's true. It didn't go well. But
it was always great to see. Now, what I will tell you is it was great to see a lot of my former teammates, all of whom I'm extremely jealous of because they've all found the fountain of youth, whereas I have not. And it's just so cool. I guess the way I like to phrase it is, and I didn't play. I played 10 games or 12 games. 10 games was my entire collegiate career healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I still loved the stories. I loved that I was part of something special. We won a championship when I was a freshman, but I had been injured. But you just make such lasting friendships with so many people, and people who then scatter after we graduate college. You go on to your, wherever your career and family will take you, and you lose touch a little bit. Facebook certainly helps keep us in touch. The iPhone, you're able to text message people in a moment's notice, but it was really cool to kind of get a chance to see a lot of my former teammates, and some who I haven't seen in quite some time, and some who are fighting the good fight where time, and illness knows no boundaries. Okay.
Yep.
And so we pray for them. And, it's funny because I've been out of school almost 35 years now, Joe.
Wow.
I played my last football game in 1990. So that's 35 years ago. Whole time.
It's the year I was born, Joby.
How nice. So it was nice to see everyone. It was not nice that we didn't win, but Lehigh is certainly a worthy champion, undefeated, and certainly we'll wish them luck when Lehigh plays Villanova here in the next round of the championship playoffs there. But yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just want to touch quickly on, like you had said, we did all of our remaining three football teams lost a couple weeks ago in the state quarterfinals, but they're, obviously they wanted to continue on and everything, but, you know, they had, you know, we're talking North Pocono, we're talking Lackawanna Trail, Scranton Prep. They had so much to be proud of. You know, Scranton Prep was the game I was at. They faced Northwestern Lehigh at Berwick Crispin Field, where I had the cheeseburger. It was great. But, you know, that, you know, obviously not breaking any news here, that Northwestern Lehigh team is so good, and they showed it that night. But, you know, I don't know if it, you know, of course teams are going to fight until the end. I mean, they should, but, you know, for Scranton Prep, that was really, you know, just, that was kind of how their season went. They never stopped fighting. This year, they faced adversity early in the season, playing without their star, Will McPartland. Once he came back, he had an incredible game against Delaware Valley, where he had, you know, 500 yards and, you know, 7 touchdowns or whatever it was. And, you know, that was, you know, against Northwestern Lehigh, they really battled. Obviously they lost, but there were just some great moments that you could find in games that kind of show the, you know, the will of a team or the will of an individual. And, you know, Will McPartland, there was just one play where he's running around in the backfield. He's avoiding tackles. He finally finds AJ Kroom for, you know, a 15-yard gain, the first down. But it's just, you know, it's those moments that are, I don't want to say cool is probably not the right word, but it's just like, you know, what, I know that you lose this game, but it's those moments that made this season special for you. You went out and you did that. And I thought that, you know, Prep had a great season, you know, fighting at adversity, and, you know, you learn lessons in seasons like that, not only in sports, but in life. And I think that really showed with Scranton Prep.
Yeah, Joe, and a great season for them in terms of, you know, for the first time in a long time, the program had some ups and downs. Okay, had some things work against it, and you saw the resolve of that team, and, you know, kudos to them, and, you know, great job by Coach Terry Gallagher to kind of keep the ship afloat, keep everybody on the same page. It's not always easy when you're used to winning, and you have to kind of cope with some tough losses.
Yep.
Okay, some narrow defeats, and look, Northwestern Lehigh is still playing.
Yep.
that team is the defending champions, and we'll get a rematch with Avonworth here coming up this weekend for the 3A championship, and that will be a bugaboo for Scranton Prep even moving forward. I mean, that District 11 is extremely competitive.
Yeah.
Okay, and Northwestern Lehigh has built quite a program. But if there's anything that can be taken away from that game for Scranton Prep, was the fact that it played, you know, at times quite competitively, and Scranton Prep knows where the bar is.
Yeah.
I mean, the team that eliminated them the last 3 years has gone on to the state final.
Right.
And so, you know, you're going to have to eventually or at some point get to that level of excellence if you too want to reach the state final. Because I think if Scranton Prep can get by Northwestern Lehigh, or anybody comes out of District 11,
right,
you're ticketed for the state final.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yep.
So they know that coming out of that game. My game, Joe, Lackawanna Trail Belmont Charter. I think fans may have underestimated Belmont Charter a little bit because it was a little bit of an unknown. It's a program that's only 5 years old, but it is a charter school. Okay, a lot of freshmen and sophomores starting, an extremely fast team, something that Lackawanna Trail had not seen all season. A team with that kind of balance and that kind of speed and athleticism, and they had some big guys. I mean, they had some good size on that team and played with a high level of intensity. I do want to give credit to Isaac Ryan because, you know, I had mentioned coming out of the Line Mountain game that he was banged up a little bit after the game, and it wasn't clear what exactly was bothering him.
Yeah.
They disclosed that he had been kind of battling a little bit of a hamstring issue, and he warmed up, and then the plan, I believe, was to see if they needed him, they would play him.
Right.
So he entered the game upon his own request, and Coach Steve Jervis getting the okay from the medical team at Lackawanna Trail that he could go. He had one carry in the first half, and then he ended up with 100 yards rushing in the second half and 3 touchdowns. So great, fantastic bow to his career.
Yeah.
And I want to remind everybody, not only did he set the single season rushing record, more than 2,800 yards, he scored 54 touchdowns, all those things. All those numbers are fantastic, right?
Right.
The team itself, in his 4 years as a varsity player, won 4 District 2 championships.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep.
They've won better than 30 games in the last 3 seasons. So, he's had quite a career. It's going to go down as probably one of the greatest statistical seasons we've ever seen in the Lackawanna Football Conference. I just going to be hard for me to believe that anyone's going to average more than 15 yards a carry.
Right.
With our level of competition here in this league. He was fantastic to cover, very gracious. They had a great offensive line. He'll be the first to tell you that.
Yeah.
But boy, just a lot of fun to see him compete and put up the numbers and the games that he had. Of course, the highlight of the season was the performance he put on against Riverside in the regular season finale, where he ran for 370 yards on 8 carries or something.
Right. Yep.
But all that being said, you hear whispers, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he only had 100 yards in the game against Belmont. He had 145 against Line Mountain. Yeah, those are, under normal circumstances, would be staggering statistics.
Right.
In the state playoffs.
Right.
Okay. You're playing the highest level of defensive challenges you could face.
Right.
Normally, we'd walk away from those performances and say, man, what a great game Isaac Ryan had. But he had such, video game-like statistics the entire year. You kind of step back and say, boy, they did a good job containing them. When really those were 2 of his better performances.
Yeah.
From what I saw.
Right.
Okay. And what I mean by that is I saw them in person. Right.
Right.
And I saw him play and I saw him compete. And when he came in the second half of that game against Belmont Trail, the Trail had some things go negatively, turnovers, which they hadn't had all year.
Right.
But he gave a great performance. He gave a great effort on the state's biggest stage. I think there's some, a lot to be said for what he was able to accomplish this year. And then real quick, Joe, North Pocono, historic season, 13 wins. You run up against Cardinal O'Hara, which is, again, an up-and-coming program, which is developing. And, again, one of these, we get this private versus public argument all the time with the charter schools and the Catholic schools. But Cardinal O'Hara gave a great effort, and now went on and lost this past week. But, North Pocono has a lot to be very, very proud of this year, Joe. It's been a long time since the program had this kind of success. Great job by Greg Dolan and his staff. And that senior class at North Pocono, a lot to be proud of. They're coming off of what was an Eastern Conference playoff win last year, right?
Right.
To kind of salvage the season that they endured a lot of injuries in. And that catapulted them to what was a record-setting year. So, we saw some great performances by North Pocono across the entire fall. Cole West was just probably one of the best all-around players we had in the Lackawanna Football Conference and in District 2. Evan Wolf, the defense at North Pocono was terrific. Chase Zimmerman, a lot of great memories. And I really have to thank all of the players and the teams and the coaches from the Lackawanna Football Conference, it was a great season. It really was.
Absolutely. And that, thanks for bearing with us. I know that the fall sports season ended a couple weeks ago, but you had mentioned this, Joby, but you wrote a column, Thanksgiving column, thankful for the fall sports season. And it was truly, truly one to remember. I'll certainly, you speak about, performances that you remember when you talked about Gerry McNamara and moments you remember in your career. And personally, I'll never forget that Abington Heights soccer team and their run to the state title. Truly enjoyable and just such an impressive run. Obviously, we rolled out the Lackawanna League coaches all-stars for boys and girls soccer. For boys, Nico Bustos of Abington Heights was the Division I MVP. John Lee Jean was the Division II MVP, and Johnny Chillery of Riverside was the Division III MVP. In the girls, obviously, Division I was Abington Heights' Lilia Calvert. Division II was Honesdale's Vera Downey, and Division III was Old Forge's Mia Peregrine. My first year of soccer, it was a fun one. Leaves a high bar for 2026 of the fall sports season, Joby.
We like that, Joe.
Yeah, we like it. We like it. That's fantastic. So
Joe, think about it. You look back, and by doing that, I was able to look back at some of the great things that we witnessed. We've talked, so much about the great success we had in tennis and girls tennis.
Yeah.
I was enough to cover that team. And then, funny story for you, Joe, on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great timing by the Pennsylvania Volleyball Coaches Association to release the all-state teams. Nobody has anything to do the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
No.
But anyway, so we had a lot of players recognized in District 2, a couple from Holy Redeemer, a couple from Berwick, right? And Lauren Beamer from Western Wayne, who I've had the pleasure of covering for the last 4 years, right? And we believe historically she's the first Lackawanna League player with 1,000 career kills. Okay.
Yep.
So I get the information that she's named to the team. I immediately text Coach Darren Thorpe and I apologize. I know it's Wednesday, you're with your family before Thanksgiving, the holiday, and everything else. I said, but if Lauren is not too busy, if she could give me a call, I'm going to put something together. We're going to post it online that she was named All-State. And he gets back to me and he says, I just heard back from Lauren. She's on a cruise with her family and she's not able to, there's no cell service out there.
Sure. Sure. Oh God.
Now I'm in a bind.
Yeah.
But good for her and her family.
Well, exactly. Why wouldn't they be doing something,
But so somehow she was able to text answers to my questions and
that's phenomenal.
It worked out great. And I was able to congratulate her and certainly we want to congratulate her and the players from Holy Redeemer and Berwick as well.
Yep.
Just a great season in girls volleyball. We just had a fantastic fall sports season. Exactly,
Joby. Exactly. So, yeah. And now we're on to the winter. And obviously Nico started that one off with a bang. But
and we're rolling.
We're rolling.
We unveiled our preseason top 10s in boys and girls basketball.
Yep.
So we know where they stand right there. And I think Nico kind of roundaboutly liked to kind of threw a shot at us a little bit because Riverside's number 2 in the preseason instead of number 1.
Right.
But Holy Cross had a pretty good performance over the weekend as well, Joe. Yep. Your alma mater.
That's right.
Went out and played in Brooklyn on Saturday and played one of the more respected teams in the city. And came away with a hard-fought victory. So, look, those top teams, Holy Cross and Riverside, I fully expect to have epic battles again this season. It was a hard call for me to go one over the other. I kind of based it on Holy Cross was the number 1 team at the end of last regular season, so I went that direction. And, Old Forge is supposed to be a very good team this year, a lot of experience as well.
Yep.
That Lackawanna Division 2 is going to have a heavy, heavy microscope on it. And I think Scranton Prep and Abington Heights are 2 very talented teams in Division 1.
Yep. Certainly. So it should be a fun season. Joey, preseason top 10s are not easy.
No, well, again, when you have the kind of success I have in preseason rankings, having North Pocono number 1 for the entire football season, I've kind of put a lot of pressure on myself.
I hear you. But yeah, no, it's gonna be an awesome season.
Not that I'm patting myself on the back. Right?
Well, you got to do it because nobody else does.
Well, I don't say that, but I do. Whenever I do get it right, I like to try to remind people that I got it right.
Absolutely,
because everybody's very quick to tell me when I'm wrong, and believe me, a lot of people tell me when I'm wrong.
Absolutely. So, we're looking at the beginning of the winter sports season. Obviously, there's basketball games tonight.
Now, Joe, we're supposed to be getting some snow.
Yep. That could cause a bit of problem.
I know you're ready to go with the snow thrower and the shovel.
Of course. Of course, no.
Nothing like getting the season going in early December and then getting a blizzard.
Exactly. So, we'll, as we're used to in our winters here, although they haven't been too terrible of late. So
is that right, Joe? Want to come up and live in Scott Township?
I was good. All right, fair. Unless we go back to how you had to shovel yourself out last
year.
But yeah, we're getting started. We'll get some non-league boys and girls wrestling, Joby, this week.
Joe, you're going to have your hands full with the wrestling this year.
I'm going to have my hands full. Yeah, there's, it's going to be a really interesting season, which I'm excited for because, we obviously a few months back, we had the story, a few of our top wrestlers, Michael Turry, Jake Chavone, and Sam Almadina, they are now at Wyoming Seminary. So that's going to be exciting for them, but also, this league, the Lackawanna League, it's kind of, I don't want to say wide open, but there's Division I is going to be very interesting. I think Honesdale is probably the best in Division II, and we'll see what happens in Division III, but it's going to be an interesting season. I really don't entirely know what to expect, which should make it a lot of fun. I don't think there's there's not a lot of, the season hasn't really started, but so it's kind of dumb to say there's not a lot of clarity yet, but sometimes you have, a lot going into the season, and I think there's a lot of wild cards. We're going to see some wrestlers rise, that we didn't really know about. So I'm in for an exciting season.
So you are, and listen, I fully expect you to be engulfed in the research in the next couple of days. Yes. I know you're still trying to get yourself back into working mode after what was a very, very exciting week of activities.
That's right. Yeah. So, I got to get
It's not easy being on the concert tour, Joe.
No.
I don't know how you get through the ear ringing.
I wear these earplugs. It's, especially so. Yeah, I don't want to lose my hearing at like 40. So yeah, that's kind of how I deal with that. But yeah, no, it's going to be, got to get the preview stuff done. The Lackawanna League season starts December 17th. So it's going to be interesting. And then that's going to be followed up by the Lackawanna League Championships on December 20th. Hopefully we don't get any weather for that. They kind of had to navigate that being that's at Wallenpaupack. So, but yeah, I'm in for an exciting year. There's Joby, you released your swimming preview, I believe, as well.
Joe, we have some very outstanding swimmers this year. A couple of returning state medal winners in Rebecca Oakes and Ava Kashuba. We have two very good teams in on the boys' side, Abington Heights and Delaware Valley. Delaware Valley, as you know, Joe, the depth of that program, Chelsea Schatt does a great job of encouraging. They have a great youth program at Delaware Valley. And, I think Abington Heights has that strong individual talent in its roster with Jason Casper, last year's swimmer of the year, Derek Williams, fantastic swimmer in the sprints. They got one of the top swimmers who was on this in the program a couple of years ago. Jeff Stanton is back. He took a couple of years off, and he's an outstanding swimmer, returning all-region kid. And you know how strong the diving team is there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I really expect that boys' season to be good. But on top of the two teams, great individual talent. Lucas Iannone from Scranton Prep, he's a past swimmer of the year. Okay. Yep. And, we've got Roy Ayala from West Scranton. Joe,
right?
Three-time all-region kid.
Yep.
And these are also athletes who have competed at the highest level in that, the YMCA swimming and the Junior Olympic swimming levels. Okay, so It's going to be a really good year in the boys, but in the girls, on the girls side of it, again, I think Scranton Prep and Abington Heights have two great rosters. Not a lot of swimmers, but two really good rosters of all region type kids. And then you always have that kind of a outside group up at Elk Lake. Now they've got a couple of new faces that they're going to have to be depending on. But people forget Elk Lake girls were undefeated last year, so
Right.
you kind of feed off of that a little bit. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. Now I believe they start swimming tomorrow officially, or we may even have a meet today. Okay,
Yep.
Today's Monday as we're recording this, so the season starts officially, and they'll be able to get going here. But we have some big swimming events coming up: the Elk Lake Invitational, and of course, after the turn of the new year, we'll have the Les Richards Championships, and we got the Ernie Shartley Championships up at Tunkhannock too. So it's going to be a really good season. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, Joby. And I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Is there anything
Joe, you
want to?
Yeah, I just find it funny that you didn't want to bring up that Rams loss yesterday.
Haven't you been through enough, Joby? So here's the thing, right? When you're looking at you look at the NFL, it's like every week is like, oh,
it was too good to be true.
It was too. Well, Joey, every single week, I swear, it's like, this is the best team in the league, and then they lose. It's like, it happens every week.
I think the NFL likes it that way.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what it did, Joby, is it made me feel better about the Packers losing to the Panthers.
It should have. No, and really, Joe, because here's where we stand now. Both the Packers and the Rams are fighting for seeding. Okay. Right. Now, you can't go bottom up here. You can't, play like the Eagles have been playing the last 3 weeks.
Right.
Because now look at where they have tumbled to.
Right.
They're all the way down to the number 3 seed.
Exactly.
Right? But you certainly don't want to lose that playoff spot either.
No.
So anytime you lose a game like the Rams lost,
right,
it puts you in a tough spot. You can't afford too many more stumbles.
No, exactly. And the top team in the NFC, the Chicago Bears.
Well, we both know that's not going to last.
It shouldn't, I hope.
It or not.
Seriously, I think the Packers are hosting the Bears next weekend. Actually, that might be a Friday game or something.
Oh.
But, so hopefully, we keep, as they say, Jordan Love plays his best during Toyotathon. So, hopefully that continues.
We hope that continues. Right.
That's a real thing, Joey.
For your sake, Joe.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm thankful that the Packers won. And
now, Joe, but listen, it wasn't all peaches and cream for you.
No, it wasn't.
Because, Joe, come on. I mean, I know Ohio State's better than Michigan this year. I get it.
Yes.
And they had won, what was it, 5 straight that Michigan had won, or 4 straight in the season?
They had won 4 straight. Yep.
Going for 5, right?
Yep.
Now, look, if you're going to celebrate at the 50-yard line at Ohio State's home field,
right,
there's going to always be payback.
Yes.
Surprisingly, Joe, Ohio State didn't really have any kind of a plan to have retaliatory measures.
Yeah.
But Michigan must have thought they did. They played better defense of the emblem at midfield than they did in the game.
It's funny that, I feel like it's bad when you go into a game and thinking like, oh, if we lose, we have to protect the M. And it's like, oh boy, I feel like you're putting it in your head that you're going to lose this game. It's like they had it all planned out. We're going to guard midfield, and
it was a sad display, Joe.
It wasn't great. It wasn't unexpected.
Correct. Correct.
But, I also didn't expect Michigan to win last year, and they did. So, obviously there's always a chance, but Ohio State came out. They did what they do. They're the best team in the nation, and I don't.
So far, we still have a playoff to go through.
Still have a playoff, but they look really, really good. So we'll see. I don't know. I know that Lane Kiffin won't be coaching in the playoff.
So, listen, I know this is, again, we're in a different era of athletics.
That's right. It's true.
And I'm shocked. I'm not shocked that he took the job at LSU. And I don't guess I understand the whole, legacy type of thing, or what's a better job than another job.
Right.
I personally, I think the paycheck is what determines where you go.
Absolutely.
So, but listen, he made his decision. I just hope there's not a mass exodus of players going into the playoffs from Ole Miss. And not because of the players who will leave, because they have different agendas.
Right.
But more so for the guys who kind of, poured their heart and soul into this season and having an opportunity to try to compete for a national championship.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
So that's the side story of this whole thing, is what people seem to forget is there are players at Ole Miss who, they seem extremely loyal to Lane Kiffin, and they should be. They developed and harnessed a relationship over the course of the 3 or 4 years they've been there.
Sure.
But those people who do leave have a different agenda than the ones who've given everything they had to help Mississippi become a contender for the national title. So it's a weird time.
Right.
Lane Kiffin's going to be okay. He's got a lot of money.
He's going to be good, Joby.
Yeah. I think he'll be okay.
He could never win another game, and he'll be just fine.
I think he'll be just fine. Right?
Exactly. Joe,
Penn State ended the regular season on a high note. There's still no coach named.
That's right.
Despite the endless number of posts I see on social media that Terry Smith is the new coach.
Hire Terry Smith, they say. Yep.
Yeah,
that's right. We'll see. We'll see.
Again, it's a different face. I happen to be getting some updates on the James Franklin recruiting trail, and he's locking in a lot of big names.
Well, how about that?
And some former Penn State commits.
Yep.
So,
how about that?
You better get a coach pretty soon.
Exactly. Imagine that, Joby.
No,
as you like to tell me, imagine that.
You imagine that.
So, all right. I think that should wrap it up.
All right, brother.
With us, obviously, go to our website, times-tribune.com/sports. Visit Joby's Times-Tribune Facebook page, Joby Fawcett, the Times-Tribune. Visit our Facebook page and Instagram, Times-Tribune Sports. Follow us on X at SportsTT. Again, we just got off a great fall sports season, and we're going to have a hell of a winter season. So keep following along. We appreciate it. Subscribe to this podcast. We'll be here every week unless I take a vacation like last week.
So, I'm not taking one, Joe.
No, exactly. Oh, no, you can't. You just can't.
Right.
So, and Joby, again, thanks for helping carry the department.